Car goes forward horizontally at speed 4 meters per second from point 4.9 meters above the horizontal smooth floor. The coefficient of restitution is an E value of a half when it hits the floor. Find the total distance traveled before the first bounce. Okay, we're going to do our 4 moves. So what's your UX? 4. Or sorry, phi, isn't it? Phi X is 4. What's phi Y? 0 minus 9.8 t. U plus AT, yeah? Okay, what's SX?
Equals 4t.
4t. SY? 0t minus a half. 8t squared. Would you all agree with minus 4.9t squared? Okay. There we go. 4 equations. Is that cool? All right.
Would it not be 4 minus 9.8?
It says it just fires it horizontally with 4. So it starts off with 4 and 0 down. Is that okay? Alright. Now, next thing. Okay. What we're going to do next, guys, is we are going to... Okay. When it hits the ground, yeah? If I call this 0, 0, it hits the ground when SY equals minus 4.9. So I'm going to put the SY equation here. I'm going to put that equal to minus 4.9. And I'm going to divide, I'm going to magic wand this, which means multiply both sides by minus. So I'm going to get 4.9 t squared equals 4.9. And then I'm going to get t squared equals 1. Therefore, t equals 1. Takes 1 second to hit the ground. We're going to pause there. Reiterate. I've dropped for a second and I'm just about to hit the ground. Is that okay? Took me 1 second to hit the ground. Agreed? Now, what we're going to do next is we're going to find our phi x and our phi y just before we hit the ground. So what's phi x going to be? It ain't changing. It's going to stay at 4. So it's going 4 across. And now I have to figure out how far it's going down. Well, we know that the phi y is actually, it takes 1 second, doesn't it? So what's the phi y? Minus 9.8. We all okay with that? Now what happens when you hit the ground? The 4 stays the same. But the minus 9.8, it's going to get halved. So it's going to rebound back at 4 point. It's going to rebound back at 4.9. Excuse me. So, oh, and I also haven't found the horizontal distance yet, right? So far what I found is the following. I found that we hit the ground with minus 9.8 and we went across a 4 and we rebounded at 4 across and 4.9 up in the air. What I didn't find was the horizontal distance traveled. Well, that's handy. I can just replace t with, and the answer is, so this happens, see this first hop? That first hop is 4 meters. We all right with that? Now, find the total horizontal distance traveled before the second bounce. Well, I'm going to recalibrate this whole question. Now I'm just on this part here. See the red part? That's what I'm on right now. And hell, I don't really care what came before it. So I'm just going to rub that out. Doesn't matter to me anymore. So now we're going to set up our 4 equations again. You ready? So let's set up these 4 equations. What's phi x? What's phi y? 4.9 minus 9.8 t. What's sx? What's sy? 4.9 t minus a half of 9.8, which is 4.9 t squared, yeah? Now, let's reset the clock. This is now going to be 0, 0. And the y value is going to be 0 when it lands. Would you all agree it lands when sy equals 0? So we're going to put this equal to 0. So I'm going to drag this formula all the way down. And I'm going to put her equal to 0. Going to bring the 4.9 t squared over the other side. Actually I won't. I'll just factorize out 4.9 t. And I'll get 1 minus t equals 0. If 4.9 t equals 0, this means t equals... We already knew that. That's why we have the point 0, 0. But the other one is t equals 1. We know that t equals 1, don't we? So, what do we think here then? We have to find Sx, don't we? The horizontal distance to travel on the second bounce. So that's handy because what can I do? And it actually travels 4 meters. And we're done. So guys, so it's going to be 4 plus 4, which is 8. Thank you. I'm going to pause anyway. So, what we're doing is we're hitting this ball here. Like so. And we're going to use trigonometry. It's going to be u. So it's going to be u cos alpha and u sine alpha. Okay? And then we're going to do phi x. Phi x is just u cos alpha. Nothing else. Phi y is u sine alpha, which is this direction here, minus gt, because gravity's working against it. And then your Sx is ut sine alpha, sorry, ut cos alpha. It's velocity times time. And Sy is ut sine alpha, then minus a half gt squared. Your first question is to find the time taken to hit the wall. I think you know the Sx, don't you? I think it's Sx equals d. Give us an e value. Okay, so it doesn't. It's part of the proof is in the e value, so you have to use an e value of e. So I think we'd all be okay with the time. So we're going to take out the Sx formula. Is that okay? So I'm just going to remove this one. Oh, I seem to got phi y and Sy as well. Well, is that it? Sy doesn't go on its own. Alright. Shh. So what I'm going to do with Sx is I'm going to divide u cos alpha into d. And what that does is that achieves part 1. Everybody okay with part 1? Now part 2 says to show the velocity of the ball hitting on the wall just before impact. So your job is to sub that t value that you just got here. That t value right here. That has to go into phi y. Sub it into phi y and you should get this answer in a second. You sub in the t value that you got in part 1 and you sub it into phi x and phi y, but phi x doesn't have a t value, so it stays the same. So what you're looking for is you're looking for phi x times I plus phi y times j, but phi x stays the same. Phi x is just u cos alpha. It doesn't change, but phi y will change because you're subbing in a different t value. So where is phi y? There's phi y here. And all I'm going to do is take out their t. Take out that t and replace it with du cos alpha. I think they just give it a common denominator to make it look fancy. That's all they do. So it's going to be u sine alpha cos alpha all over cos alpha. And then gd over u cos alpha. I also have to give it another u. And that turns that into what? U squared, yeah. There we go. Horizontally. The bike strikes the wall and rebounds. It doesn't say it strikes horizontally. So, in this particular question, what's going on is the following. So I have my I have my value here. Okay, that's it there. Shh. Just gonna rub out a bit of space for myself. Now, what's gonna happen is it's coming up and it's hitting the wall like so, and then it's rebounding. And what we're saying is, I'm gonna make this simple. That's phi x, that's phi y. After the impact, it's phi y and minus EVX. So I'm just going to slap an E in front of the phi x part. So it's going to be EU cos alpha I. And then the J value stays the same. So it's just going to be plus. So it's going to be minus because it's going to the left now, right? And then it's going to be minus U squared sine alpha cos alpha minus GD all over U cos alpha J. All right. So you can reset the question. So what does it want us to prove again? It wants us to prove that U squared sine 2 alpha equals GD 1 over E. Now, what I'm noticing is on the second bounce, what happens? How far does it go? It goes all the way back a horizontal distance of D. So here's what I'm thinking. I'm going to reset the question. And I'm going to reset the question under my terms. My terms is now, I don't care that that's minus. I'm resetting the question as, this is 0, 0. You got me? That's 0, 0. And what I'm doing is I'm going up and then I'm dropping down. And this point here is the point D, some sort of negative Y value. Is that all right? So I'm going to reset my equations. UX is going to be EU cos alpha instead of minus EU cos alpha because I'm resetting that left is now positive. I'm treating part 2 of the question completely different than part 1 of the question. Then what's so that's phi x. Now what's phi y, guys? It's going to be a bit of a mouthful. It's going to be U squared sine alpha cos alpha minus GD all over U cos alpha, and then it's going to be minus GT. Just rolls off the tongue. Now, what about SX? EUT cos alpha. Now, SY is going to be fantastic. So, SY is basically phi y, except what do you do differently? It's pretty much the same as phi y, but what's the only difference you ever do? So, you half it and you put GT squared, yeah? But what's the other main difference? You have to wrap all this and put a T beside it. Is that okay? Now, this might look beyond your ability at the moment, but we're just going to chill out and see exactly what it wants from us first. Okay? And we go, well, they love us to prove that U squared sine 2 alpha equals GD 1 plus 1 over E. Okay. So I have an idea. First of all, I have no idea how to do this currently. Just letting you know I'm in the same position you guys are in. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the information I definitely know. And here's the information I definitely know. I definitely know that the SX distance equals what? Would you agree that the SX distance equals D? Agreed?
Wait, no, that's an EUT cos alpha.
What?
That's an EUT cos alpha.
Yeah, it is EUT cos alpha. It got multiplied by T.
Oh, with T.
Got hit off the wall. Yeah. So, what exactly am I doing here, alright? So, what I'm thinking of doing is I know the time of flight is what, guys? The time of flight will be d divided by EU cos alpha. The problem is, I have nowhere to send that. Would you agree? So then I'm going to go back up to my first iteration and going, well, was there any way of calculating the height in the first one? Do you remember the height? Okay. So I'm just going to think about this again. Okay, I'm going to go back to the first iteration, and I'm going, okay, first iteration. What did I do again? I did sy was ut sine alpha minus a half gt squared. Is that okay? What did we know about the time of flight? We know the time of flight used to be d over u cos alpha. So I'm going to sub that into the sy equation now. Look what happens. Sy equals u sine alpha times d over u cos alpha. And then over here, minus a half g. And what's t squared? D squared over. Okay. And would you all agree that whatever answer I get, would you all agree that's the height? Whatever answer I get is the height. And whatever answer I get is how far it drops in the next part. So what I'm going to say is this. And once again, I'm just going to get rid of this. This is complex, okay? You will get used to them. I remember the first time I did one of these. I'd be panicking by now and it just doesn't happen anymore. All right. Would you all agree with d tan alpha? Yeah? And would you all agree with gd squared over 2u squared cos squared alpha? You okay with that? That's my sy. Now here's the issue. And I'm going to use a simplification approach for this. This is the point 0 sy. Agreed? But on the reverse journey, what did I call this point on the reverse journey? Did I not call it 0, 0 on the reverse journey? Do you remember that? And then what would this other blue point be then? It would be the point d minus sy. So do you see this sy here? Guess what I'm going to have to do with it? Going to have to multiply it by minus 1. Does everybody get y? You do? Okay, great. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to turn that into minus sy. You may have to go over this video again. Sorry, you will have to go over this video again. I digress. Now, you happy with that? Don't answer that. Now, so I'm going to take this down. I'm going to have it stored, ready to go. Because what am I currently doing at the moment? I'm currently looking at sy and I'm going, oh dear, I'm meant to get this. But this is what I have. Okay? So here's where things go a bit crazy now. What I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to sub in d equals EU cos alpha. I'm going to have to sub it into two different places. I'm going to have to sub it in here and here. And then I'm going to have to put the two of them equal to each other. And then I'm going to see what on God's green earth happens after that. Did I make the right move? Did I not make the right move? Here we go. Let's find out. Okay. I think I remember doing this last year, and I think we just packed it in after a while. But here we go. Okay, so it's u squared sine alpha cos alpha over u cos alpha times t. So where's the t going to go? D into? Yeah, do you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking that cos alpha takes out that cos alpha. Agreed? I'm thinking this u takes out this u. Oh, sorry. The two u's on the bottom takes out the u squared on top. And I'm thinking that the sine alpha over the remaining cos alpha is what? So that just turns into d tan. Not too bad. Now, then I gotta do gt squared over 2, don't I? So I have to square this and multiply it by g over 2. So g over 2, square that, and I get d squared over... Sorry, what is it? EU squared? E squared u squared. Just rolls off the tongue. We all cool with that? Alright. And that apparently equals... Oh man. I just realized something.
This is all for part 3, yeah?
Yeah, this is all for part 3.
I got the sine, you know the sine alpha and cos alpha.
Now that I'm happy with that, I'm going to keep going. GD squared 2u cos squared alpha minus d tan alpha. Alright, have an idea. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to move... What letter doesn't exist anymore in all these? No, E's still there. Is there any variable that gets rid of here? There's no tan alphas left, agreed? I'll sort that out later. Actually, oddly enough, I think we might get this. I'm shocked as well. Alright, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to bring d tan alpha over to the other d tan alpha. And what am I going to make? 2d tan alpha. Then I'm going to bring this g over 2. So I'm going to keep the gt squared 2u squared cos squared alpha. I'm going to bring over the g over 2 on the other side then. So it's going to be gd squared 2 e squared u squared cos squared alpha. Just rolls off the tongue. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to give them a common denominator. I'm going to put an e squared here. Therefore, I'm going to put an e squared there. Agreed? Now, here's where stuff gets interesting. I have this, lads. I'm going to dominate. Shh, quiet you. Now, here's what we're going to do next. Okay. Shh. I'm going to factorize out what they have in common. What do they actually have in common with each other? GD squared, and the full denominator. Agreed? So, what I'm going to factorize out is the following. I'm going to factorize out GD squared over 2u squared e squared. What else did I say? Cos squared alpha into e squared plus 1. I'm now going to change said 2d. I'm going to change tan alpha back into sine alpha over cos alpha. Now, I'm re-looking, going, don't think I'm going to quite get what I want, but I'll give it a go. Okay. Oh, man. All right, here we go. So, see this D here? What happens? Gone. See one of the cos alphas? Gone, yeah? What else? Okay. So I'm going to bring this 2 up to this 2 and it's going to become 4. 4u squared. I'm going to multiply sine alpha by cos alpha. I have it in a second. And then I'm going to bring up the e squared as well. Has to go up as well, doesn't it? Okay, is everybody with me this far now? Okay. Stuck in. A squared plus 1, thank you. Now, why doesn't my one look like this? Now, still a bit, What's going on here? Why doesn't my one look proper? Okay, so here's what I'm going to do next. What I'm going to do is, does anybody know what sine 2 alpha is? 2 sine A, cos A. And I'm going to go, do you know what? If I factorize out, if I turn that number 4 into what, guys? I'm going to turn it into 2 here. And then I'm going to lob a 2 there as well. And what does the 2 sine A cos A turn into? Oh, yes, it does. So I have 2 u squared e squared sine 2a equals gd e squared plus 1. Now, I haven't done anything as difficult as this in years. It isn't this tough anymore. Do not let this scare you off. Now, I'm also looking and I'm going, I would like u squared sine 2 alpha on its own. What's preventing that from happening? So, and the 2 as well, right? So I'm going to bring the 2 underneath and the e squared. So I'm going to go u squared sine 2 alpha equals gd all over 2e squared into e squared plus 1. I think there's an extra 2 in here that I don't want. Isn't there? There's an extra 2 in here that I don't want. And where did that extra 2 come from? It came from the g over 2, which is correct in my terms. All right, I'll just go and drive with it as best I can. You think you see it? Yes.
You see the thing when you brought it over. Why do you bring it over under one of the like the multipliers on the right? Why would you go over both? Under both?
What, the 2e squared?
Yeah.
It is under both if I multiply it out. It's when you multiply fractions 3/4 by 5, like 7 over 6. Sorry, even 3/4 times 3 plus 2. You'd multiply the 3/4 by the 3 and by the 2. So it is counted. Now here's what I'm thinking about doing here, alright? What I'm thinking about doing is I'm thinking about putting that e squared underneath. I've definitely messed up somewhere. There's an extra e as well. Now, there's a chance the question's bogey. It shouldn't be this difficult. What did I just do a second ago? Yeah, that's where I'm after now. The 2's still there, isn't it? I'm going to divide by e squared. And what happens there then? Yeah. So I'm going to get gd over 2 into 1 plus 1 over. That's as far as I'm getting it. And I obviously disagree with the question they gave me. That's all I can do.